Good evening and welcome to Dave S. Walters Memorial Stadium.
On the field, one player rises above the rest. Meet Will Davis, a relentless lineman and a leader whose impact extends far beyond the game.
I've always played sports since I was, three-sport athlete as a kid, growing up and then slowly coming off of it. But it's just a big aspect of life. It's I love it. I'm very thankful for it. I give it all I can because that perspective, maybe in a different world, I didn't make it. Maybe in a different world, I have to survive on some pieces of plastic and some metal keeping me alive. I don't know.
Will's childhood was anything but ordinary. From the very beginning, his future was uncertain. So much that doctors questioned whether he would even live to see life's milestones.
The first time I took him to the hospital, I knew he was sick. I knew he needed help. I was very unhappy that they sent us home from the emergency room saying that he was fine and he just had a cough and a fever. I felt like there was something deeper going on in his lungs, but they took an x-ray and they said they didn't see anything, so they sent us home.
But a mother's instincts are rarely wrong. Just 24 hours later, as Will's conditions worsened, so did the world outside. The ice storm of 2008 had arrived.
The storm happened, and I called at 8 o'clock in the morning the next morning and said, hey, I need to get my son to the hospital. And the 911 was like, we have so many other things that we're trying to deal with, and the roads are so bad that we can't help you.
Yet nothing, not even a relentless storm, could keep Cara from fighting for her son. She loaded up the car and drove. A 9-minute trip stretched into a grueling 2-hour journey through the snow, all to reach the nearest hospital.
One point I stopped because I was afraid he stopped breathing. I stopped the car and reached back there and felt for his breath.
Despite resistance and empty reassurances from doctors, persistence won. They finally took Will back for another examination.
After they re-looked at that first x-ray, they came back in and said, we missed something yesterday. There's a spot in his lungs. It's probably pneumonia. We're going to take him for another x-ray. And it had grown immensely.
The diagnosis was critical. At just 18 months old, Will was rushed into open lung surgery. What they removed from his tiny lungs accounted to 1.5 cans of fluid, enough to silence a fighter. But Will wasn't done fighting.
After they punctured his lung, they tried antibiotic after antibiotic and all these different concoctions to try to get it to stop. And his white blood count, his white blood cells were just so high that they couldn't figure it out. Nothing was conquering the problem. And then finally they got a concoction that worked.
What was meant to be a short trip from Texas to Fort Wayne became a 5-month battle in the hospital. Day by day, Will worked to reclaim the strength he had lost.
And so as he's sitting there tied down so that he's not messing with his IVs and trying to pull them out, I would continue to pray, Lord, help him fight, keep fighting, because sometimes those breaths were fights for him as he had a tube for days draining his lung and all these other cords and everything connected to him, monitoring every little move or breath or heartbeat or and all the pain he was in from that tube sticking in between his ribs into his lung. And so he has continued to fight. He did then, he'll continue. Will is just, that's who he is. We went through every moment, Lord, we trust you. Lord, we trust you. Lord, we trust you. And we were fortunate enough to be able to walk away with our son at the end. You can turn into each other and become closer as a family, or you end up turning away and becoming distant and broken.
Things in life all happen for a reason. And it's just God's plan in the end of it. So I'm going to do the best I can to be the best I can, use the talents God has given me, because God has blessed me clearly and done miracles for me. So I need to repay that. It's kind of my sense. I need to be working as hard as I can, use the talents.
Whether it's on the football field or in life, I'd like to see it a little bit more in the classroom. But everywhere else, he fights pretty hard. I told him earlier, before you guys even got here, just how proud I am in terms of, I think he's getting more mature. He's He's reading the Bible before he eats each day. And I think that is huge for his development.
He has continued to fight. He's continued. He did then. He'll continue. Will is just, that's who he is.
Strength isn't just what's built in the weight room, it's forged in the moments that test us the most. Will Davis wasn't supposed to make it this far, but here he stands, stronger, wiser, and unstoppable. Because resilience isn't about the battles you face, it's about the ones you refuse to lose. I'm Carly Swymeler.